Picture this. It is a Saturday morning in late July. Your neighbor loads their car with trays of petunias, marigolds, and impatiens from the garden center. They spend $80, maybe $120. They get home, spend 3 hours planting. It looks decent for 6 weeks. Then summer heat hits, it thins out, and by October, it is completely dead. Next spring, they do the entire thing again. Same garden center, same cart, same $100, same result. You are not doing that anymore. Because this summer, we are opening a biological window that completely changes your yard by next July and every July after that. 11 perennials. Plants that come back every single year without you touching them. Plants that spread across your yard while you are sitting on your porch. Plants that multiply season after season and give you a landscape so full, so lush, and so alive that people slow their cars down just to look at it. And every single one gets better with age. More coverage, more flowers, more color, every year, for free. Forever. These are also the 11 plants that garden centers genuinely do not want you to know about. Because once you plant them, you stop coming back. Here are the 11. Let's go. Plant 1. Creeping Phlox. Phlox subulata thayer is a slope in almost every yard that nobody knows what to do with. Too steep to mow safely. Too dry for most plants. Grass struggles on it. Mulch slides off it. Every spring it sits there as an unfinished problem with no solution in sight. Creeping Phlox is that solution. Phlox subulata. Hardy in oostozones 3 through 9 across the United States and across most of Canada, including Ontario, British Columbia, and Quebec. In April and May, it covers itself so completely in flowers you cannot see a single leaf underneath. Pink, white, magenta, lavender, a solid carpet of color flowing over slopes, spilling over walls. Running along pathway edges like something out of a design magazine. Except it costs almost nothing and maintains itself completely. It spreads through trailing stems that root wherever they touch soil. No intervention, no replanting. Every season, it claims a little more ground on its own. The foliage stays evergreen all year, so your slope holds structure even in January. Here is what most videos never tell you. A slope covered in creeping phlox never needs mowing again. Municipalities planted on highway embankments to eliminate erosion and maintenance permanently. That problem slope you've been fighting for years, this plant was made for exactly that spot. One light trim after blooming. That is the entire annual commitment. Everything else it handles alone. While we keep going, drop a comment and tell me what problem spot in your yard has beaten every plant you have tried. Tell me your state or province. I read every one. Plant 2. Hosta. Hosta, this plant, grows in Alaska. It grows in Georgia. It survives Minnesota winters at -40 degrees Fahrenheit and the swampy summer heat of Alabama. From sub-zero cold to humid southern summers, the entire continental range. If that does not tell you how unstoppable this plant is, nothing will. Hosta, hardy in oosta zones 3 through 9 and across Canadian zones 3 through 8. But here is what almost nobody explains about its cold hardiness. Hosta does not just tolerate hard winters, it requires them. It needs weeks of temperatures below 40 degrees Fahrenheit to complete its dormancy cycle. Without a genuine freeze, it cannot reset properly for the following spring. Cold is not the enemy. Cold is part of how it works. Most gardeners treat shade as the enemy. The dark corner under the oak. The north-facing strip that gets 2 hours of sun if you are lucky. Hosta does not just survive those spots. It dominates them. Thousands of varieties miniatures you can hold in one hand, giants with leaves the size of dinner plates. Blue-green, chartreuse, deep forest green, gold, and variegated patterns that look hand-painted. Every 3 to 4 years divide the clump. One established hosta gives you 6 to 10 divisions. At $15 to $20 per plant at any nursery, one hosta produces over $150 worth of free plants in a single morning. That is not gardening. That is compounding interest growing in your backyard. Beneath a mass planting of hosta weeds cannot survive. The leaf canopy closes so completely over the soil that no light reaches the ground. No light means no germination. No germination means no weeding. The plant eliminates the chore while it grows. Here is something nurseries will never put on the label. Hosta is the plant that makes itself obsolete as a purchase. You buy it once. You divide it every few years. You never need to buy it again. Ever. In fact, you will run out of places to put all the free divisions before you ever run out of plants. That is exactly why it belongs on this list. One note for pet owners: hosta is toxic to both dogs and cats. Plant it where they cannot access it. Plant 3, Salvia sylvestris Maynite. If you have ever watched a hummingbird work a flower from bloom to bloom on a warm summer morning, you already know what this plant delivers. If you have never seen that in your own yard, this is the plant that makes it happen. Salvia sylvestris Maynite. Hardy in USTA zones 4 through 8 and across Canadian zones 4 through 7. Deep indigo purple flower spikes rising 18 to 24 inches above compact foliage from late spring into early summer. The color is genuinely deep, not pale, not washed out saturated purple that photographs dramatically and looks even better in person. Hummingbirds work it constantly. Bees of every species treat it like a destination. On a warm morning with Maynite in full bloom, your garden sounds different. There is a hum to it. An energy a garden full of annuals never produces. After the first bloom flush ends, cut it back by half. Hard, 3 weeks later, it pushes back with a full second wave of flowers carrying through late summer. 2 complete bloom seasons from one plant in 1 year. Most perennials give you 1 peak. Maynite gives you 2 and fills the summer gap when most borders go tired and thin. No powdery mildew, no aggressive spreading, no staking, no deadheading. Aromatic foliage deer find deeply unappealing. 4 problems solved while delivering the most saturated color available in a perennial border. If this is already changing how you think about your garden, subscribing takes 2 seconds and means this kind of content finds you every single week. Just a thought before plant 4. Plant 4, Black-Eyed Susan, Rudbeckia fulgida, Goldsturm Drive, any American highway between July and October, and you will see this plant growing wild along the roadside from Maine to Texas. Without irrigation, without fertilizer, without anyone planting or tending it. And people still drive to garden centers every spring and pay $9 a pot for annual Rudbeckia that dies in October. That ends today. Rudbeckia fulgida Goldsturm. Hardy in USTA zones 3 through 9 and equally reliable across Canadian zones 3 through 7. A true North American native that was thriving on this continent long before anyone put it in a plastic pot. Golden yellow petals surrounding a raised dark brown center. The contrast catches afternoon light in a way photographs never fully capture. And its timing is everything. It blooms from July through October, precisely when most summer gardens look exhausted. When your neighbor's borders are brown and tired in August, yours is hitting its strongest display of the season. University horticultural research confirms that the Goldsturm cultivar specifically blooms longer and more prolifically than the standard species. This is documented plant performance data, not marketing language from a seed catalog. When you are standing in the nursery choosing between varieties, Goldsturm is the one you want every single time. It spreads 2 ways simultaneously. Underground rhizomes expand the colony each season. Seed heads drop seeds that germinate into new plants the following spring. Plant 1 this season. By year 3, you have a sweeping colony you never touched, never watered, never fertilized beyond what rain and soil provided naturally. Leave the seed heads standing through winter. Goldfinches, sparrows, and chickadees feed on them from October through February. Your garden feeds wildlife through the hardest months of the year at 0 cost. That is the native plant advantage in action every single day. Plant 5, yarrow, achillea, millefolium. Show me the worst soil in your yard. The patch that bakes hard in summer. The corner where 3 different plants have already failed. That is exactly where yarrow wants to live. Not just survive, thrive. Bloom for 6 straight months without a single drop of irrigation, without fertilizer, without you walking past it more than twice a season. Achillea millefolium, hardy in USTA zones 3 through 9 and across Canadian zones 3 through 8, including the prairie provinces where summer drought is an annual guarantee. Flat-topped flower clusters above feathery silvery green aromatic foliage. Moonshine for clean yellow. Paprika for warm terracotta. Firefly for deep cherry red that holds color all season. The foliage is intensely aromatic, the exact reason deer and rabbits walk straight past it without interest. Here is what makes yarrow genuinely remarkable beyond toughness. Its roots release natural compounds into surrounding soil that suppress weed seed germination in the area around it. A built-in weed management system running continuously without any input from you. Beyond that, yarrow attracts parasitic wasps, lacewings, and hoverflies that prey on aphids and soft-bodied pests damaging your other plants. While yarrow blooms, it runs a pest control program you never scheduled, never paid for, never thought about. Critical point: rich amended soil makes yarrow floppy and weak. Poor dry rocky soil makes it bloom harder and spread more aggressively. Give it your worst spot. Watch what happens. One last thing before plant 6, what is the spot in your yard that has defeated everything you have tried? Drop it in the comments with your state or province. I use those answers to decide what I make next. Plant 6. Catmint. Nepeta X Fossani Walker's Low. If deer have eaten your garden 2 years running and you are done spending money on things that become their breakfast by morning, this is the plant that changes the situation permanently. Nepeta X Fossani Walker's Low. Hardy in Usta zones 4 through 8 and reliable across Canadian zones 4 through 7, including southern Ontario, Quebec, and British Columbia, where deer pressure is constant. Soft lavender blue flowers over silvery aromatic foliage from late spring through early summer. It mounds to 2 feet and spills naturally over pathway edges, driveway borders, and border fronts with an elegance that looks deliberately designed. It finds its own shape, and its shape is beautiful. Deer evaluate plants by scent before approaching. Catmint's aromatic oils repel them before they get close enough to taste it. Unlike spray repellents that wash off in the first rain and need reapplying every 2 to 3 weeks, this plant is the deterrent. Every hour, every day, every season, without a single reapplication. Cut it back by half after the first bloom. Commit to that cut. Do not be timid about it. 3 weeks later, it returns fuller and delivers a complete second wave through late summer. 2 full bloom seasons from one plant in 1 year at 0 additional cost. Most gardeners who skip this cut never realize what their catmint was capable of producing. From a design standpoint, catmint is one of the most versatile border plants available to American and Canadian gardeners right now. It softens hard structural lines along driveways and pathways. It pairs effortlessly with roses, ornamental grasses, and echinacea. Professional landscape designers who charge hundreds of dollars an hour reach for it constantly because it makes every plant around it look more intentional. The next plant might be the most misunderstood perennial sold in North America, and almost every garden center labels it in a way that confuses people. Plant 7. Hardy Geranium. Geranium X Cantabrigians. Walk into any big box garden center in spring and you will find flats of bright red and pink geraniums moving fast. People load them into carts without a second thought. By November, every single one is dead. Here is what nobody in that garden center tells you. Those are not geraniums. They are pelargoniums. A South African annual misidentified and mislabeled so long ago, the wrong name stuck permanently. Millions of gardeners across the US and Canada buy them every spring, not knowing a true perennial geranium exists that returns forever, spreads on its own, and costs nothing after the first purchase. Geranium X Cantabrigians. Hardy in Usta zones 4 through 8 and reliable across Canadian zones 4 through 7. Biocovo for soft white blooms with a pink blush that brightens shaded borders. Carmina for deeper rose pink above foliage that turns bronze red in autumn. The specific problem this plant solves that almost nothing else can: dry shade. The impossible condition under mature trees where surface roots steal every drop of moisture. That corner under your maple or oak that has rejected everything you have tried. Hardy Geranium moves into that space and claims it. By its second season, it looks as though it has always been there. One firm cut after first bloom. Within 3 weeks, fresh foliage and a genuine second flush of flowers. That cut is the entire annual maintenance. One cut. Years of free coverage. While your neighbors restock pelargonium flats next April, your hardy geranium is already leafing out exactly where you left it. Bigger, denser, better, free. Plant 8, Sedum Autumn Joy, Hylotelephium Autumn Joy. Every plant on this list earns its place through flowers. This one earns its place through transformation. It looks completely different in every single season and stays visually interesting every month of the year, including the months when everything else has given up completely. Hylotelephium autumn joy. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9 across the United States and Canadian zones 3 through 8. A succulent perennial that stores water in its thick, fleshy leaves the way a cactus does, making it one of the most drought-tolerant flowering plants available to gardeners in both countries. 4 seasons, 1 plant. In spring, neat, compact mounds of blue-green succulent foliage that look architectural from the moment they emerge. Through summer, structure holds perfectly, while pale green flower buds form at the tips. Late summer and early fall, those buds open into dusty rose-pink heads that deepen into rich salmon, then copper red as temperatures drop. Through winter-dried rust, brown seed heads stand firm through frost and snow when everything around them has collapsed. 0 irrigation once established. 0 fertilizer. 0 division needed for years. When you eventually do divide it every 4 to 5 years, each section is a complete viable plant ready to perform elsewhere in your garden or pass on to someone else. Bees work the late summer flowers heavily, right when most other nectar sources have finished. You are providing a critical food bridge for pollinators at the end of the season when they need it most. The dried seed heads hold their architectural form through winter, adding structure and texture to your garden during the months when almost everything else has collapsed completely. Plant it in lean, well-drained soil. Like yarrow, rich amended soil makes it soft and floppy. Poor dry soil makes it stand firm and perform at its absolute best. If you have a sunny spot that drains fast and bakes in summer, you have found sedum's perfect home. Plant 9. Echinacea. Echinacea purpurea. When you walk through a garden center and see those bold flowers with the raised, spiky central cone, deep purple, vivid pink, white do you put them back, assuming they are expensive annuals that die in November? If you do, you have been leaving one of the best plants in North American gardening on the shelf by mistake. Echinacea purpurea. Coneflower. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9 and equally reliable across Canadian zones 3 through 8, from the Atlantic provinces to the interior of British Columbia. Native to the North American prairie. It evolved here. It belongs in the soil in a way nothing from an annual flat ever will. It comes back every year, bigger each time, more flowers each season than the year before. And then it self-seeds new plants germinating around the original crown, an expanding colony you never paid for, never planted, never thought about. Magnus for classic deep purple that photographs dramatically. White Swan for clean, elegant white. Cheyenne Spirit for a warm sunrise mix of coral, orange, and gold. All of them architectural through winter as goldfinches land on the standing seed cones and work them one seed at a time from October through February. Safe for both dogs and cats. Here is the moment that ends the annual habit permanently. You plant echinacea this season. Summer ends. Spring arrives. And there it is, pushing back through the soil exactly where you left it. A little bigger. More stems already forming. That moment is when replanting every spring stops making sense to you. You cannot unknow it. You will not go back. Plant 10. Goldenrod, Solidago rugosa fireworks for decades. Gardeners across the U.S. and Canada have avoided this plant, pulled it out when it appeared, blamed it for weeks of fall misery every year. They had the wrong plant. Goldenrod does not cause hay fever, not once, in the entire history of its existence. The real culprit is ragweed, a plain, unassuming plant blooming at exactly the same time, producing lightweight airborne pollen that travels invisibly through the air and into your sinuses. Goldenrod produces heavy, sticky pollen carried exclusively by insects, flower to flower. It cannot become airborne. It cannot enter your respiratory system. Goldenrod simply bloomed nearby while ragweed did the damage and absorbed a century of blame it never deserved. Solidago rugosa fireworks. Hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9 and native across most of eastern and central North America, including Canadian provinces where it has grown wild for centuries. The name is accurate. Flower stems arch outward in long, graceful sprays covered in tiny golden yellow flowers radiating in every direction, exactly like fireworks frozen mid-explosion. Nothing else available to home gardeners in fall looks remotely like it. It blooms September and October when most perennials have finished and options are genuinely thin. That low golden autumn light makes the color look richer than anything blooming in summer. Goldenrod fills that gap with bold, vivid structure precisely when your landscape needs it most. It supports over 100 species of native bees, butterflies, and beneficial insects. Growing it is one of the most direct contributions a home gardener can make to the local insect ecosystem every food crop in your area depends on. Quick honest question before the final plant before this video. Did you believe goldenrod caused your fall allergies? Drop your answer in the comments. I am genuinely curious how many people this myth has kept away from one of the best fall plants in North America. Plant 11, New England Aster, Symphyotrichum novae angliae. Every plant on this list earns its place from spring through summer. This one earns its place in October, when everything else has already surrendered. Symphyotrichum novae angliae, New England Aster, hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8 and native across Canadian zones 3 through 7 from the Maritime provinces through Ontario, Quebec, and the Northern Plains. It grew wild on this continent long before anyone put it in a garden, and it blooms at the exact moment your landscape needs it most and is least likely to find anything else. Deep violet, lavender, pink, and white flowers with golden centers that glow in the lower light of autumn. Unlike most flowers, asters don't fade. As the season ends, they become even richer just when the rest of the garden is slowing down. In late May, pinch every stem back by half. In late June, pinch again by half. 2 pinches. Those 2 cuts produce 3 to 4 times more flower stems than an unpinched plant and create a dense, self-supporting mound that never needs staking. Gardeners who make these cuts get a fall spectacle. Gardeners who skip them get a plant that flops and delivers a fraction of what it was capable of. Documented by Monarch Watch as one of the most critical late-season nectar sources on the eastern and central monarch flyways across the U.S. and Canada. Growing it is a direct contribution to one of the most remarkable wildlife migrations on Earth. Safe for dogs and cats. Now picture this, because this is the moment every plant on this list was building toward. It is mid-October, cool enough that you grabbed a jacket on the way out. You are sitting in your yard with a coffee, no agenda, nowhere to be. And your garden is not ending. It is still going. The New England asters are at full peak deep violet everywhere, glowing in that low October light. Behind them, the goldenrod is still holding its arching golden form. The echinacea seed cones are standing, and a goldfinch is working one right now, 10 feet from where you are sitting. The sedum has deepened from pink to copper red and holds the border together. And then a monarch butterfly comes in over the fence line, drops down, finds your asters, lands 2 feet from your coffee cup, rests there in the October sun for a long moment before lifting off and continuing south. You did not spray anything. You did not spend $100 at the garden center this spring. You planted once. You let these plants do what they were designed to do. And this is what came back. This is what built itself into something real while you were living your life. That is what forgetting replanting every year actually means. Not skipping a chore, building something that compounds and gets richer every single season for as long as you are in that yard. 3 rules before you plant anything. Most gardening content skips all 3. Rule 1: fix your drainage before you plant anything. Poor drainage kills more perennials than drought, cold, pests, and neglect combined. Test it before you put a single plant in the ground. Dig a hole 1 foot deep and fill it completely with water. If that water has not fully drained within 1 hour, you have a drainage problem that will undermine every plant on this list. Fix it once coarse sand and compost worked deeply into the existing soil, or build a raised bed above the problem area. Do it right. It permanently changes what your soil can support, and every plant you ever put in the ground benefits from it. Rule 2: division is income, not maintenance. Every plant on this list divides every 3 to 4 years. Every division is a complete viable plant worth $10 to $20 at any nursery. One established hosta produces 6 to 10 free plants on a Saturday morning with a garden fork. One yarrow clump produces 8 to 10. At current nursery prices, a single mature mixed border of these plants yields hundreds of dollars worth of free divisions every few years. You should never buy a plant twice that you already own, and you should never let a division go to waste when a neighbor or friend would gladly take it. Rule 3: leave seed heads standing in autumn. Every autumn the instinct is to cut everything down and make it look tidy. Resist it. Seed heads feed goldfinches, sparrows, and chickadees through the coldest months. Standing stems shelter overwintering insects that return to your garden next spring. And those same seed heads are the free reseeding mechanism that multiplies your plants while the ground is frozen solid. Leave them standing. Your garden will be more alive and more abundant every spring because you did less in autumn. Less work. More results. That is what every plant on this list is designed to deliver. 11 plants. 1 decision. A landscape that builds itself more beautiful every year without you starting over. Next spring, your neighbor loads their cart at the garden center, spends the money, plants for 3 hours, and you drive past. Because everything you need is already out there, already coming back through the soil, already spreading a little further than last year. That is what you built. If this gave you even 1 plant you are putting in the ground this season, it would mean a lot if you subscribed. This channel goes this deep every single week, real zone guidance for the US and Canada. Information that changes what you grow and what you stop wasting money on. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, and drop 1 comment. Which plant are you starting with and what state or province are you in? I read every one. Go build something that comes back.